Looks like we are live now. All right. So, hello, good evening to everybody out there in YouTube. Probably Rob's going to get the link to this and share this in Facebook somehow. Um, but welcome to everybody tonight. We have a handful of little announcements that I want to bring up to everybody. But and not only that, but we also have a giveaway that we're doing tonight. And but first, real quick, if you're in the club, don't forget to go pick up your monthly PPD sequence. These are your three choices for the month. Uh, uh, so a little bit of American Pride here. Danny Goki, My America, Loving Caliber, Magic Day, and Kobe Calais, Christmas in the Sand. All three wonderful songs, great sequences. We have a really fun Christmas intro or advertisement, you would call it. It's an advertisement pack. We call it Ad Pack 2. It's Snow Cone of Silence, and it's a little fun advertisement you can play between your songs and your show to kind of make it like your show is a little bit of a radio station, more authentic, but it's centric around the holiday. There's moving heads, of course, and then for the folks who are running a 4th of July show this year. We have a patriotic panorama Twinkling Tradition song for you, or not song, but a static display for you. For the club members, these are all on sale. But if you want to pick them up, now's a good time to go ahead and get them. But tonight, I want to I invited a fellow who's been we've worked with now for over a year now. His name's Jason Summers, and Jason is from New York. I traveled to the New York Mini last week, and a number of you that are in the room here tonight were kind of went along for the ride whenever I left and whenever I came back. We held a little contest, and it's the Guess the Mileage contest. Now I have on my phone here. I have a picture of my mileage. It has since changed because I had to run to the store, so I can't go by that. I was going to go live out in the driveway, but we're gonna. I have a picture of the actual mileage on the vehicle, and there are going to be two winners tonight. And before we get into that, before we find out who the winners are, we're going to introduce Jason. From RGB2GO. Jason has an awesome new item that he's added to his store. So Jason, welcome to PPD Open Mic Night, and thank you for joining us. I know you have an awesome announcement here for everybody about this awesome new little controller that you have been busting your butt on for the past year or so. So.
Well, thank you for having me. And again, it was great seeing you at the New York Mini. Thank you so much for attending, and thank you for presenting. It's always great. I love that you participate in all the events that you can. That's great.
As much as I can, as often as we can. Thank you. So Jason, I'm gonna turn my camera off. I'm gonna turn it over to you, and I'm gonna get ready for the big reveal at the end. Okay.
Okay, will do. Okay, so I don't know how many of you are familiar with my Tetra2Go controller. We started off with a 2-port pixel controller. I don't know if you can. Sorry, my camera kind of took a big crap earlier, so we'll have to deal with this thing. This was my 2-port controller I released almost 2 years ago now. It's a wonderful little Wi-Fi controller, runs on WLAD. I found it to be a really great beginner tool for those who are completely new to Christmas lights, who didn't want to break the bank. For less than $40, you can get a controller, play with some lights, and really find out if you have a love for this hobby. I keep going on Facebook and I keep seeing people selling their shows off, and it's so disheartening. But I guess that's just the way the hobby works nowadays. It turns out to be more than people can handle or can expect or whatever. So this way you can start in a hobby and make sure it's for you. Make sure before you spend a ton of money that you have the resources, that you have the time, that you have the patience to be able to handle this really complicated hobby. So again, perfect place to start. I made a starter kit that includes 200 pixels, a power supply, all the appropriate cabling, everything you needed to go to get things running 15 minutes after you open the box. And it's been really well received. And I've been having a real blast helping people with their shows as far as that's concerned. Now, to be completely forthcoming, the biggest, I wouldn't say negative feedback, but I would say that the most emphatic feedback I received from this is I can't really use this in my show, my whole show. This is really just a beginner board. That's all I can use it for. How can I use it in my show? And my answer to that was always, well, if you've got isolated portions like a Tune2 sign, or it's like those selfie wings that you could do, this would be a perfect addition. But again, yeah, it's not really a great house controller. It's only 2 ports, can only really handle 1,000 pixels. So since then, I've been putting my time into what comes next. And what comes next is something that I do believe we can use as a whole house controller. And some of the recommendations I received on this, the first of which being, can you make it Ethernet? Because Wi-Fi introduces a little too much latency. We worked on that as well. So I'd like to introduce, again, it's been on my website for a little while now, but this is sort of the official unveiling. It's my Tetra2Go controller, which is my 4-port. Let me see if I can get a better camera angle on this than you can. Let's see, there we go. Let me see if I can transition to that. If you can all see that, this is my Tetra2Go controller. It is a 4-port WLED controller running off a ESP32, as opposed to the ESP8266 for the 2-port. It has 4 5-amp pixel output ports. It has level shifting. It has reverse polarity protection. So if you plug the power cords in backwards, you're not going to fry your board. Again, live and learn, right? I've had a couple customers do that, and we decided we're gonna fix that, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. So this is the 4-port controller. Again, oh, pardon me. I'm very, very proud of it. It behaves exactly the same way as the 2-port. If you're familiar with WLED, you have no problems with this controller at all. It is compatible with xLights. So, and actually integrated into xLights. So you can set this up, go into xLights, configure it as a controller. Now, still a Wi-Fi controller, if you'll notice. But what this controller has that my other did not is one second, an onboard header that breaks out some GPIO pins. Now, let me transition here. Okay, and that you can see that right here. So not only does it have 4 pixel outputs, I've got about 16 breakout pins here. Voltage, 5 volts, 3.3 volts, ground, and several different IOs that allow you to do several different devices. You can break those out manually if you like. If there's anything you wanted to plug into this, chances are you can get it to work on those GPIOs. Now, they didn't stop there. I actually designed some header modules that can be readily installed onto this header module. The first of which being an Ethernet header. So this gives the Tetra2Go with this header the ability to be a wired lighting controller. So don't worry about the latency caused by Wi-Fi or anything like that. Very easy to set up. Also have an audio reactive header, which is just a microphone with the audio reactive version of WLED. This can give you lights dancing to music with very little effort. Again, perfect for somebody who is starting this hobby, who's not familiar with xLights, who just wants to get the lights blinking as quickly as they can. It's just a wonderful solution. I've had some really good feedback on it, and I've had quite a few customers who start with this, really get excited, and then they jump into xLights with a passion like you don't normally see a beginner have. Another header I have is the differential header. This will turn the Tetra2Go effectively into an 8-port controller, as long as you have a corresponding differential receiver. 4-port differential receiver works great with any differential receiver, including like Falcons or whatever. It is a dumb receiver only, so it can't really daisy chain, but with a single differential receiver, this works great. Let's see, what else am I forgetting here? We have, pardon me here, we're gonna finagle a bit here. All right. I have an OLED header as well, which just gives you, some interesting status information. I apologize for the flicker. It's just the way the camera is working. We'll show you your access point name, your IP address, the effect that's running, and the current brightness. So again, really nice informational display, something you don't normally get off a WLED controller. And last but not least, this one is in development at the moment, and that is an SD card header, or sorry, module for the header. While WLED does not support SD cards yet, ES Pixel Stick software does, or firmware does. So I'm currently working with the developers of ES Pixel Stick to get the controller working well with ES Pixel Stick software. Preliminary stuff is going very well. In doing so, we've gotten the storage working, and we've gotten the Tetra2Go working as a FPP remote. So we're hoping in the next month or two, I can have that pretty much, documented out well for people to keep trying. Bear in mind, we're using a beta version of ES Pixel Stick, so all this is all very developmental, bleeding edge stuff. But for those who like to try that sort of stuff, I try to make it available. So, but that's really exciting. Again, I got to show this off with the New York Mini. I love the feedback that we get. Let's see. I think we're getting some chats here. Give me a moment. I can read the chats. There we go. So if I had an Ethernet header, I can't use a diff header. Correct. Okay, that's correct. Yeah, the headers don't stack. They are, unless you're willing to break them out into your own breadboard, which you absolutely could do. The headers themselves do not stack. So you can't plug one onto the board and then plug another one on top of it. It just they're not designed that way. So let's see. So, but yeah, individually they're great. And again, they are just header pins. So you can do whatever you want with them. If you wanted to break them out into like a different breadboard, make so the SD cards is usable alongside the AR hat. You could do that. You just want to make sure the GPIOs do not overlap. Some devices do. The Ethernet header uses a lot of GPIOs, so the chances of that overlapping are pretty good. So again, completely willing to work with you if people are willing to do stuff like that. But for the general case, I would say you don't really want to use multiple headers at one time. The headers are options. Is there an additional cost? Yes, the headers are options as well. Let me see if I can share my screen here. How's that? Is that working? Okay, so this is my website. This is the Tetra2Go controller. I've been selling it for $59 since inception. Although I believe, Clyde, there is a special deal for PPD members. If you're still there.
I'm here. Let me pop over. Did we do something different from the website?
I think we changed that over a while ago. I just didn't double check before we went on.
Nope, no problem. Give me a second and I'll be over there in a second.
No problem. So while Clyde's checking that, so $59 for the controller minus what a discount, I believe, if you're a PPD member. And we also do have the optional audio reactive header for $9.99, the differential module for $14.99, Ethernet module for $19.99, and the SD card module for $9.99. So yes, they are optional headers, but I wanted to give all this functionality and not force people into buying a much more expensive controller. I also didn't really want to inventory 5 different flavors of the same one. So this was a great opportunity for people who want certain functionality to get it affordably. And honestly, the headers aren't even mandatory. You can do your own work. You can make your own audio reactive header. You can, if you really wanted to, although I don't recommend it, you can make your own, Ethernet connection or SD card connection. That's all accessible through these header pins.
So yeah, we did put that up there for them. There's it's a $10 off new Tetra2Go controller.
Perfect, thank you. So that would bring the price down to $49 for PPD members. So
So that's a pretty incredible price considering that well, I mean, for this is the brand new 4-port, right?
This is a brand new 4-port controller.
And
Yep.
yeah, okay. Um, so well, there's a couple. There looks like a couple more questions popped up in chat. Maybe.
Let me. Sorry, got too many windows open.
Nope, the same thing happens to me. Don't feel bad.
Why would you say this was better than, say, a Dig Quad, which can have Ethernet on board in a smaller form factor? Well, I mean, we sort of have different philosophies. Quindor's a great guy. His board's a great board. It's just mine's really centered towards the Christmas lighting industry. Again, we use the connectors that you're used to seeing in the industry. I'm actually actively developing it for Christmas light users. I can go into specifics. I don't want to bore anybody, but there's a matter of, I don't know, you've heard the 33 ohm debate versus the 100 to 250 ohm debate. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how I can word this. Distance from the controller to your first pixel has always been a concern with the Dig Quads. And not that it's a bad board or it's designed poorly, it's just not meant for like X-Connect cables. I believe he means for the ground cable to be run separately than the data, which isn't the case in our industry. Because we run them all in a single X-Connect cable, that ground goes right along data the entire way, and that ground eats away at the voltage in your data signal. And that prevents you from going more than 20, 25 feet to your first pixel. My board specifically have a 33 ohm resistor in them on each of the outputs, which corresponds to the 33 ohm resistor on the pixels. So they're a little bit more in synergy. And I can get usually a good, I want to say 70 to 80 feet from the controller to the first pixel. So again, all these little bitty things I'm actively trying to develop for the Christmas light community. And Quindor, while Christmas light community is one of his verticals, it's not his entire vertical. Hope I answered that. Let's see. I have both a Dig Quad and an RGB2GO starter kit. I like the RGB2GO better. And if you buy the kit, you'll have lights blinking in 10 to 15 minutes. Availability was also key by the time I went to RGB2GO. Again, that's why I made the starter kit. I love the look on people's faces when they get the lights blinking for the first time. And this has been a unique opportunity. Everybody sends me pictures and messages when they get the lights going the first time. It's amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. And yes, availability was an issue. There was some supply issues with the Dig Quad. Again, it's a popular board. But I try to keep them as in stock as I can. I haven't really had too many instances where we've been out of stock. So we're doing a good job keeping up with that so far. Next question. I may have missed it, but how many pixels per port? Well, let's see. This gets a little complicated. Let me share my page again because it's on my website. And I explain it a little bit better. Okay, share screen. There we go. Hopefully you can read that. Let's see. So for very good very good performance, we recommend to use 800 pixels with 4 outputs for a total of 3,200 LEDs. If you like to add more pixels, you can, but it will decrease the frame rate of the pixels themselves. So if you want to get a good 40 frames per second performance, 800 pixels per output times 4 for 3,200. You can go all the way to, I guess, to max it out. You can do, well, since you can actually use a differential transmitter with this, it can serve as an 8 output controller. So you can do 600 pixels if you're using all 8 outputs to give you a total of 4,800 LEDs. But that's only with a differential module. So, and that you're looking, okay, performance is probably 15 to 20 frames per second. Okay, other questions. Can you start out with an Ethernet header and hot swap to the OLED display or vice versa with power supplied? Wouldn't recommend it. No, it's not really a hot swap device. But they can be used. What I do here is I have multiple ESP32s. And when I want to switch headers, I'll just, cut power to the board first because they're not hot swap connections. And then, I have an ESP32 labeled OLED display, and I have an ESP32 labeled Ethernet, and they have corresponding versions of WLED installed on them, where I configure the proper GPIOs for you, and you don't have to worry about it. So theoretically,
So
when you purchase a Tetra from me with an Ethernet header, I will have preloaded the Ethernet specific WLED image on there. If you purchase an OLED with a controller, I will preload the OLED specific WLED image on there, but they are different. So doing them both at the same time on the same ESP32, again, not really intended, just like you can't stack them. You got to make sure that your GPIOs are not overlapping. Let's see, how am I doing?
well, I mean, it sounds like you've you made some advancement with frame rate, or at least not. I don't want to say frame rate. You're able to push a little bit more than what you were used to pushing before with the 2-port.
And that's because we're using a bit of a different processor on there, right? If I'm getting all zoomed out here. We used an ASP8266 before, and again, that was availability and cost issues. And with a 2-port controller, you really didn't need any more at the time. But the ESP32 really does, it's 4 times the clock speed. So it does give you a lot more opportunity as far as pushing data to a lot more pixels.
So you have plenty of these in stock right now. They're ready to go out the door. You're ready to stay up all
Oh
night
yeah,
to
I've
ship
got more
these
coming
things.
in soon. This is a crazy time of year. I do have them ready to go. I've been advertising quite a bit for them, so we're moving them.
So I'm actually really excited to kind of get to playing with this too, because last year I did get I got the 2-port board last year, and it was it ran great until my controller box and the wind blew open and flooded my box, and it ruined it. So I'm happy to have another one to back it up with. But I'm interested to see what else you are considering, what other things you could consider adding to the header here. What other functionalities? There did you say something about the button pushing, or big buttons being added, or?
Oh, that again, I don't think I mentioned that specifically, but anything you can add that's operated by GPIO could be technically done. Yeah, putting buttons on there would work. A breakout either to a big button machine, or actually I could put a header with some smaller buttons on it. That could work too.
So having one of these with a big button on it, with a couple big buttons, obviously, would be something that somebody could use in the instance that they were, say, going to do something with the wings, or with some sort of social media capture point, where somebody could activate something on their own. And this could be, I mean, what a small footprint. I mean, this is the size of my hand, right? So I'm rather impressed. I'm excited to see what else you can come up with that this can do. And I think I asked you this while we were at the mini. The this isn't the ESP32 you said, right? This is a
Yeah, the
different.
ESP32 is
This
on
is
the
the okay. So this is so this is, I don't want to call it the brains behind it. It's the connectivity module. And once it's set up, it can be set up, and you can buy other ones of these. You can buy these
Yep.
right off of Amazon. And I've done that, and I've been able to configure them, and configure them in a way that if this happens to go bad, I get a spotty connection. I can swap this out, and I can put another one on here, and I can configure it the exact same way.
Yep. It's a
So,
completely modular, non-proprietary board.
mhm.
So you could run
So,
Home Assistant on this if you
mhm,
really wanted to. You could run, I mean, if you wanted to write your own Arduino sketches and push your own data to your pixels, you can do that. You're not tied to WLED. You're not tied to any
mhm.
software. And it's a through hole. It's a nice through hole design. So there's none of those really small, uh, you know, surface mount solder connections. It's a very hardy board. It's designed to last. It's designed to work in very low temperatures and very high temperatures. So I'm proud of it. We've put a lot of design effort into it. We've gotten some really great feedback.
Fantastic, fantastic. I am, again, I'm super excited to dive in and start messing around with it. I want to get this running for Independence Day, and get my floodlights out there, and get them going again. And WLED did a reasonably good job. It actually, I had no idea until I started setting up my show. My home network is on 192.168.1 uh, dot X, and I had no idea that whenever I started connecting all of my show stuff up, I was like, oh boy, everything's like kind of meshing with it. So I was able to dial out from my laptop, which was already on the network, right through my Wi-Fi. It was really neat, and I actually made a shortcut on my browser so I could go in and make changes to it. So it was super nice being dialed into it. It was very simple to get going. So I do have to give it that. So I'm excited. I think you guys are. What do you guys think in the comments? Go ahead, throw some comments in there if you want.
What
What
speed's the Ethernet header? It's a 100 megabit connection. Nothing fancy, but fancy enough to work with your pixels.
more than enough what we would need it for.
Yep. What pixel
Uh,
protocols these support? That is limited by the software that you use. The protocol is not defined by the hardware. But WLED does support, 2811, 2012, 2015. I don't have all the protocols in front of me, but
they have a reasonably long list. But remember, you're only three pixel or three lines on these, so you're
right,
only going to get three wire pixels attached to that.
correct.
So anything. So you've gone through this is year two, development year one with the first two port board, development year two, four outputs on a board, um, plus a multifunction header, that works for more than one use case. What are you dreaming about now? What's next? Because I mean, I haven't seen a small board that even had an OLED before, so that's rather interesting and exciting.
Well, I mean, this is going to sound totally selfish, but I design stuff that I can use and the stuff that I find useful. And I've been thrilled that other people have also found it useful. So you'll find the direction I go tends to be what I need in my show at the time.
Hmm.
As far as the controllers itself, I really wanted to be able to break stuff out. I have some guys at work who helped me out on a design level, and they don't use WLED. They wanted to use Home Assistant, or they wanted to be able to break out their own, GPIOs. That's what kind of led to that. I have a Discord with people who just throw suggestions at me on a daily basis.
What's the Discord? How do I
It's
get there?
I can
You want to
actually,
pop up a link? If you want to pop up a link here in chat, that would
yeah,
be
I can. Give me a moment.
your.
I don't know if I have Discord open here amongst all my windows. I can throw an invite link out there. Sorry. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do next year. Right now, I put a ton of time on this controller. I took a step back, honestly, to work on some more individual adapters that can work with any controller. I mean, let's see, Clyde, you've got one of these, my Tetra2Go, which is the digital analog converter,
Yep.
which allows you to convert pixel data to light up dumb pixels. You could play with servos, relays, things like that. Again, that takes any pixel port on any controller. And oh, so you've got it right there. Nice.
You're darn right I do.
Well, let's
I
see
don't
what
mess
else.
around. So I guess one of the things that, since we're here, and you have a couple people's ears at the moment, and perhaps they're thinking about things that they would like to have, and they don't often get the chance, because, not, I mean, let's face it, not that other developers or other controller builders, David's been in here, and a lot of the other controller builders are available to the community. But you've got a number of people in here, and what is it that, for the people that are in here, what kind of things that you would like um, to see in this style of a controller, along the lines that where Jason's working? Because quite literally, believe it or not, when you guys speak up about certain things, there's something that you'd really like to do, and you'd like it to be easier. One thing I have to say about Jason, his ears are wide open, and he does listen. So and trust me, because I mean just the development into this board is some of the little things that we talked about just last year after I met him were I can see them. They're brought forward. So Jay, it was really cool that whenever I went up there and went to the Michigan, excuse me, the New York Mini, that he had the chance to show me like all of the really neat things that he was adding in, especially something that I had mentioned. And so it's really interesting to see how the product changes and grows over time. But it grows that way because people like everybody here in the Zoom room start having ideas, and you start thinking about things in ways that you might not have thought about them. Well, if I just had this, or if I could just use this, I really don't like, I'm used to using this, but it would be easier if it was a smaller little box that I could just set on the side or whatever. You put these things out there, and especially using his Discord, because he does have a pretty active Discord, that you can get a couple good things going, and you never know what the inspiration is going to be for the next controller.
All very true. And I had one of my guys said, I really, is there any way I can do DMX with this stuff, right? I got to get these par lights working. So I made a DMX to pixel adapter, which works with my controllers off WLED as well. So I mean, that's just one thing that I was happened to be within reach. But yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to be developing in 6 months, but I do. It's a heck of a ride. I'm enjoying it. Let's see. I got some more texts.
Oh, Chris from Holiday Lighting here. He says, can the board be on a Wi-Fi network and an Ethernet network at the same time?
I believe there's a limitation of WLED, and the answer to that is no. There's nothing hardware-wise that's stopping you from doing it. But as far as the WLED software, I'm not sure about the ES Pixel Stick software, if it can do it or not. But I know there's only one section in WLED where you can enter IP information, and I think if there's an Ethernet module present, it will send the information to that and not Wi-Fi.
So does anybody else have any questions that they want to throw in chat? Go ahead, now's the time. We've got two awesome prizes, and I have to thank Jason for this. He was Jason's just a great guy. So the contest that we were running, the Guess the Round the Trip Mileage contest, Jason's supplying us with two of these boards, two of these new Tetra quad boards, to the people that either got right on the nose, the mileage lowest, or the mileage just over. So there's going to be two winners tonight, and there were a lot of fantastic guesses. In fact, whenever you guys see the numbers, you're going to see how close some of the guesses were to what they actually were. Like, it was crazy, because I mean, there are some people that really dialed in and knew, and the people who I thought were going to know had no clue. So
I didn't tell anybody, Clyde, I swear.
Actually, I played it pretty low key whenever when we were up there. I didn't let anybody in my vehicle. Nobody saw my speedometer. In fact, whenever I had the door open, I put my phone over top of it so nobody could see it. So it was totally fair. I'm pretty.
So we got ice cream. We went to barbecue.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of food involved.
Yeah, there was a lot of food involved. But hey, there's a couple questions there.
All right.
Does it have a relay port? Or
No.
Did you catch that one?
Not a relay port, no. Again, I was going for form factors. Relays are pretty big. Like, they're pretty large in themselves. So you can use a relay with the Tetra2Go module that I built. Those can be connected so you can control individual relays with red, green, and blue channels. But no, there is no relay support built directly onto the board. What info can you get on the OLED screen? What you reckon? Okay. Well, the WLED has an OLED user mod that's already been written. You can honestly, through that user mod, if you're savvy in code, you can have it say whatever you want as far as WLED variables are concerned. You can design your own image to put on there if you want. Out of the box, with the plugin, it just shows the access point name, so the name of your wireless network. It shows the IP address of the device. It shows the effect that's running, and it shows the brightness level. I'd be interested in buttons for doing things like selfie wings. Again, that's honestly, this is not the first time I've heard that. So that is definitely on the list for things to do next. I've also had people suggest, right now the only way to use all 8 ports is to use the differential transmitter module. If you were to wire directly into the output ports, you're going to have some level shifting issues because those ports are not level shifted. I was thinking of coming up with sorry, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, does this mean you're considering a 8-port variant in the future?
What I could do is just make, it can handle 8 ports. A level shifting module could provide level shifted data to, 4 other outputs as long as it's powered separately.
So, and the ability to have the header on there does that header, even if you were to, could you expand on the header? So for example, what I'm trying to say is earlier you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. You mentioned that you had different pluggable pieces. Are you able to double the number of headers and be able to have multiple things on the board and still be able to access it? Is that something possibly that you could?
Probably could. The issue, again, you want to make sure you're not overlapping. By making a single header, I've ruled out the possibility of overlapping. But there are certain things that would be nice. I can see that to go together. I just got to figure out how I'd make it work. Real estate was one of my primary concerns. This is as big as I wanted this to be. So adding another header would definitely be require more space. And there's also, you're limited by the number of GPIOs on an ESP32. There's only so many, and only certain ones can be used for certain things.
So the limit would be the Ethernet module, or the Wi-Fi module.
I'm sorry.
The Wi-Fi module is your limit.
Oh yes, the ESP80. Yes, this is the limiting factor. Its processing speed and its total number of GPIO headers. Ultimately, yes, I can only pass through as many GPIOs as this has.
But
I've not passed them all through.
But there's a little bit more freedom there if you were to increase the size of the board to accompany or to accomplish it.
Correct.
Yep. So there you have it, guys. I think that's rather interesting because if you guys, again, everything that we do in the hobby has been brought around by a need of one person or another, and it's been grown on by over the past, well, at the very least, the past 12 years. It has grown because somebody spoke up and said, I really wanted to do this. Now, I have to give props to Steve because Steve said, I'd like to light up an archway and walk through it and so forth. I had never thought about that. That's a great idea. Until you said that, I'm like, that's something that whenever somebody walks up to it and you'd hit the button and have it do something cool, or have it with motion sensing where it could sense that somebody's walked into something. Oh, look at you laughing. I see you, Jason.
Oh, I'm already thinking. I'm thinking you can hook up a home assistant with like a time to flight sensor, and as soon as it sees somebody, it just triggers the lights. That'd be amazing.
Well, but you know what, light sensors are available. I mean, that's not something that's out of the realm of possibility. So, but in any event, I think you've got it's a hell of a board. Again, I can't wait to play with this thing. We have 2 of these that you're graciously going to be shipping out to 2 winners that guessed correctly tonight. Not tonight, but in the past few days. So we are at this point, I'm going to make the announcement for who the winners are. So if you are out there in YouTube, if you're out there in Facebook watching, happen to be watching, we had this awesome little contest, and I have where'd my phone go? See, I got too excited to move my phone. I have here the original mileage on my vehicle whenever I first left for the Michigan Mini. I don't know if you guys can see it there or not. Oops. Doggone it. Doggone it. There we go. There we go. It's 14,589, 14,589. Let me unpin and let me put this up here. All right, there we go. Kind of hard to see it, but that's the original mileage, 14,589. I already posted that, and now I'll go and, since I took so many pictures while I was at the Mini, the winner is going to have a number that is closest to, or the next closest that's gone over to 15,189 or 83, 183, 15,183. So the two winners, and I've already gone into the onto the list here, and the two winners are Michael Fitzpatrick. Congratulations. He guessed 15,173 miles, which was exactly 10 underneath of my actual miles. And the closest who went over by just 1 mile is, and he might actually be in the room, is Mr. Brian Lawlich, who has guessed 15,184. So two rather amazing guesses by two people. Guys, thank you very much for taking everybody appreciate everybody participating in this. In a couple weeks, and a huge thanks I want to say to Jason, because Jason had no idea that we were doing the contest until the contest was underway, and he says, "Oh, this is exciting." So Jason, huge thank you to you. We'll work out. I'll post this up in the groups, and we'll work out the winners and get the required information that we need to get the winners their two controllers so that they can go start having some fun. But for the rest of you, if you guys are watching, I highly urge you, if you are interested in doing anything with the RGB2Go controllers, they are super simple to get going. I mean, I even had Jason walk me through it in like it was like 5 minutes or less, and I because it was a different controller to me, so he walked me right through it, and I had a great time getting mine hooked up. Ran mine through my local home network, which it ran flawlessly with, and all I was doing was just lighting up some floodlights on the front of the house for Halloween and Thanksgiving. So the controllers are great. Again, Jason, huge thank you to you. You guys have any questions at all, please go ahead and throw them in chat. At this time, we're going to say good evening and have a wonderful evening to everybody on YouTube. We're going to switch over to our open mic night, which is here in the PPD Zoom room. You can always go to pixelprodisplays.com, and you can click on at the top of the screen. It will say learning, and whenever you click on learning, go to webinar, and under the webinar, you'll find us here. Just click and join into the website. So guys, that's everything for me. Robert, thank you for getting us out there to everybody, and a huge thank you to everybody for participating in the contest. 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, we're going to be going to the Northeast Ohio Mini that will be their first go around. So we're really excited to go to that one. And there's also other ones going on. So guys, I hope you had a wonderful time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a huge thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, so hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget the bell for notification. As always, if you appreciate what we do, consider joining the PPD Sequence Club. We really appreciate it. It's wonderful to have, and we are so appreciative of all the members that we do have in the club. And that's everything from me. Jason, anything else you want to share before we go?
Oh, geez. I've got lots of stuff I want to share. I just don't know how much I should share.
Well, we'll
Maybe
share
save
it
that for
here
another
in.
meeting.
We'll save it. We'll save it for another live, but you can share whatever you want in the meeting afterwards. So, YouTube, have a wonderful night. Thank you, everybody. It's great seeing you again, and we'll catch you in the next video. Take care and goodbye for now.